has the white pieces, and she opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to e6, pawn to d4, pawn to d5, and e captures on d5. We have e captures and knight to f3. She won round 1. And in round 2, she drew against Vaishali. So this is, like I said, round 3. Knight f6, bishop to d3, and now castles. Bishop to d6, going for the symmetrical exchange variation of the French. We have castles, castles, bishop to g5, and Frederik continuing in symmetrical fashion. Bishop g4. Knight b to d2, and now, well, you could continue to further push symmetry, pawn to h6. We have bishop to h4, and now knight b to d7, and the position has been reached before. c3 was played almost exclusively here. There are some other moves like pawn to h3, but she goes for pawn to c4, and it is now, as of move 10, that we have a completely new game. She's playing a little bit faster, spent some 9 minutes on the clock. Frederik spent a bit more, 22 minutes. But okay, that's still a lot of time for the game. D captures on c4. We have knight captures on c4, again, playing very quickly. And knight to b6. Going after the knight on c4, we have knight to e3, attacking the bishop, and bishop back to e6. Bishop to c2, freeing up the d3 square for the queen to put some pressure here. Then you already have threats like bishop captures and queen to h7 checkmate. Rook to e8 and queen to d3. Now, okay, you have to do something about this, but you've already moved the rook here, so it's not as big of a threat. Just pawn to c6. Now, while you can go for this, let's say bishop captures, and queen captures on h7, the king is surprisingly safe on f8. There's no way to go after that king. So after c6, she just nicely continues developing. Rook h to e1, knight b back to d7, and now knight to f5. And already things are getting very interesting here. Probably best and safest is to just give up this bishop for knight. I mean, this bishop, okay, you have the bishop pair, but this is a monster knight. You should just eliminate it and something like queen c7, trade rooks, and be very happy. But after knight to f5, bishop to f8 was played by Frederik, and now knight to e5. She brings another attacker into the attack. Knight captures, rook captures, and now pawn to g6. So Miaoyi Lu now down on time, 21 minutes to Frederik's 38. Knight back to g3 and bishop to g7. And this is where it all happens. She goes knight to e4, puts pressure on that f6 knight, and basically invites pawn to g5. Now, Miaoyi Lu is much better here. Make no mistake about that. I will show you a line that can be played here. Pawn to g5 is the top move recommended by the engine. Now, what she probably planned, knowing her style and well, how she likes to attack, probably her idea was to just give up the knight for 2 pieces, keep this, probably not with the bishop, obviously with the rook, and now having this diagonal, having this and having this, it would be very, very difficult for black to get out of this. I'll just show you a top engine line just to show you what black would have to find in order just to stay in a game, still in a worse position. You'd have to play king f8. Let's say queen a3 check, queen blocks, you're going to go back to g3, put pressure on the bishop. After bishop to h8, rook h5 attacks the bishop, and this is impossible because bishop captures queen with check. So we bring the bishop back. Now rook h7, the exact same idea. This is impossible, and now black has to find the only resource that does not lose on the spot, and that is bishop to g4. Still h3, and again you have to struggle, I mean, a lot. You have to find queen to e6, and then pawn to d5, crushing, and now after c captures on d5, bishop captures on f6, queen captures on g4. And okay, if you can survive this, good for you, but you're down material, your position is much worse, and well, it's not going to be easy. But that was obviously the idea behind knight to e4. However, her opponent made it a bit simpler for her, or maybe that's just how it appears. He played bishop to f5, and now Miaoyi Lu is completely winning, but what's the problem with bishop to f5? It's not, it's not that apparent. Feel free to pause the video and try to find the winning idea. Calculate it out all to the very end while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on seeing all of this. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is bishop captures on f6. Certainly not the first move that comes to mind. But just you know, for comparison, let's try some other moves. Knight captures on f6. This comes with check. The reason why this isn't as good as bishop captures is that once you capture and let's say bishop captures on f6, queen captures, there's nothing really happening here. You're just gonna play queen e3, and okay, we can trade queens, captures, let's say queen e6, you bring the, or trade the bishops, doesn't really matter. You bring the rook into the game, and that's pretty much it. Something like king g7, or you offer a queen trade, or you get the rook into the game. Maybe after defending your a7 pawn, but yeah, that's not really gonna work. Another thing after bishop to f5, well, you could go for, no, you really don't have anything. Your choice is basically bishop captures or knight captures on f6. But the reason why bishop captures on f6 is so excellent is that now there is nothing you can do. And just to give you an example, if bishop captures, rook captures on e8 check first. And now look at this. This is probably the line that he missed. And he probably thought that after queen captures, yes, knight captures on f6 check forks the king and the queen, but after king f8, the white queen is also hanging. And if queen to a3 check, there's queen to e7, but now the problem is knight to h7 check. You have to go to e8, otherwise you lose the queen. And after king to e8, there's queen to c3, threatening rook to e1, and you just do not survive this. You have to start hiding your king. You're going to trade here to mess up black structure. You're going to play rook e1, and now you're down a piece, down a full knight, and your king is in the center of the board. This is dead lost. So that's the problem with bishop captures on f6. If you try queen captures, knight captures comes with check, so we're not going to even show that. I mean, you just keep the queen. And after another thing after bishop captures on f6 is that you could try rook captures on e5, but there's d captures on e5. And if queen captures on d3, bishop captures, and again, white is up a piece. Bishop pair and the knight versus a bishop pair. Also, the rook's nicely tucked in the corner. So after bishop captures on f6, there is no way to reclaim material. He tried bishop captures on e4, but now just bishop captures on d8, rook captures on e5. Again, capturing on d3 doesn't do anything because there's this nasty rook captures on e8 that comes with check. Or maybe this is what he missed, but I don't think so. I think that huge sausage of a line is what he missed. But after, yeah, king h7, you're just going to pick up the bishop and, well, you're up a bishop and a rook. So that's, I mean, we're not going to even go there. So after bishop captures on d8, he tried to basically give up the queen, rook captures on e8, queen to c3, she sidesteps with the queen, rook to e6, and now bishop to a5. Bishop captures on c2, a couple of more moves were played, queen captures, bishop captures on d4, and now bishop to c3, threatening bishop captures on d4, and he tried one last sort of tricky idea, if bishop captures and d4 is played, then you get to checkmate the white king like this. But of course, Miaoyi Lu did not play all of this to blunder this mate in two. She just plays king to f1, and there is nothing more to be done here. One more move was played, c5, rook to e1, offering a rook trade, and that's pretty much it. I think it was, or no, or rather, captures, I think, was played, and it was in this position on move 29 that Frederik Svane resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here.